What's up? What's up? Lance is feeling it right now. Just watched we can talk hockey, baby. Um, you know, I thought the Leafs were going to take it, but I like the Panthers. You got to figure the Bruins will win one or two. I'll say the Panthers in six, but five or six. Um, I just think Bobrovsky's playing on another level, but Swayman is too. Um, I just think Florida is might be their year this year. Because I think in the West, Edmonton and Colorado are going to eventually slug it out, and then, but Carolina is no joke either. Excuse me. Carolina is big and fast and can really play any way you want it. So I love the playoffs. Even though my Kings are out, I almost enjoy the playoffs more when my team is out from the standpoint of I can just watch the game. I don't get nervous. Like I didn't care um, who won tonight. I was just happy to see a game seven. And I wanted to do the Earlverse. No comedy tonight for me, so I'm going to the gym after this to work on my already amazing body. And good evening to everyone. Well, I mean, sometimes you got to learn to lose before you win, and Carolina's pretty good. But the Rangers are good too. There's still a lot of teams who could win it. The Rangers are very fast. They're very big. Goaltending's good. Carolina's pretty much the same thing. I'll say the Rangers in seven. Um, Colorado's so fast, and Edmonton. You got to stop McDavid, and he's almost unstoppable. What did he have? Like 14 points against the Kings. Um, so there's a lot of good matchups, and you know, the cup is really. I don't think there's a clear cut favorite. Well, it's really not the Oilers are hot. It's just McDavid and Draisaitl. You just can't take penalties against those guys. You can't. They'll just kill you. That was the Kings' downfall, to be honest with you. Um, they what the Oilers do, especially McDavid and Hyman's the real deal. It's crazy to think that he was on the Leafs too. I bet you they wish they had him. Um, they cause you to lunge and you almost grab at thin air. I just did watch the Leafs Bruins game. I was kind of rooting for the Leafs just because I like Austin Matthews, but the Leafs. I think what's almost as interesting as the teams who win and go on is thank you, Kongzilla, thank you. Is the teams that lose. There are going to be a lot of interesting off seasons. Toronto, what do they do? Pittsburgh, what do they do? The Kings. Do they fire Rob Blake? Do they keep him? Do they keep Hillier? What do they do with Dubois? He's got 7 more years left on the deal. I'll guess with Pierre-Luc Dubois that they'll give him 1 more year and then buy him out if he has a season like he did this year. But he's not really the reason the Kings lost. The Kings would not have beaten Edmonton with Velarde, Kapari, and my buddy Alec Iafallo. The Kings just are not built to beat Edmonton. For the 3rd year in a row, they got bullied by Edmonton. And I don't mean fighting, but, all the scrums, all the the little pushes and shoves, Edmonton won those battles. Kane, Perry, the big guy, I think it's Desjardins. Um, you know, the Kings, and especially if the Kings lose Roy on defense, uh, they're pretty soft back there outside of Andreas England. Um, and he's a sixth defenseman at best. I don't think Kobe's cooked. I don't think he's the number one center anymore, which is what I think the Kings were hoping Dubois would just kind of come in or Byfield, but of course Byfield could be the number one guy in a year or two. I don't think he is right now, and I think Dubois is just so confused. They start him at center, they start him at wing, second line center, third line center, put him on wing, and now he in the playoffs was the fourth line center. I mean, Lazat was playing ahead of him. And I think we'll lose Lazat too. I think he's up for a deal. Probably going to lose Arvidsson and Roy. So, it's going to be very interesting. Well, the problem with the Leafs though is that you can't have all. They're kind of facing the same problem Edmonton has, where all your money's locked into these high end forwards, and you've got to do what the Kings did in their cup winning years. The Kings were built from goaltending, defense, and center. So you had Quick and goal, Doughty, Kopitar all growing up together. And, even with that, it took them a few years to, win consistently. So you've got to build from the back out, not from the front out or front end. Look at the Oilers. What do they have? 4 number one picks in 6 years, and they still haven't won a cup. So, the Oilers, if they don't win the cup, what do they do? Well, I don't think he was. I mean, he was definitely probably the main component of the cup winning era. But I also think the defense and the team that they had, the Dwight Kings, the Jordan Nolans, the Justin Williams, and even before that, when they were still kind of losing, I think having a guy like Michael Handzus on the team to show them the effort. Here Handzus, I think he was coming off a torn ACL injury, and he was the hardest working King during his tenure. So I think that showed the younger kids, okay, this old guy with a botched ACL, I got to match him. And Lombardi, toward the end took some swings that were definitely misses. The Lucic trade, the Shakira signing. I think they traded for Shakira. That's Velarde and Dubois trade. That was Rob Blake's big swing, and I don't think it's as bad as the King fans are making it out to be. Like I said, we were not going to beat Edmonton with the guys we traded to Winnipeg. Our problem, to be frank, is that we get bullied a lot. So let's look at the Leafs. Austin makes 13 million, Nylander 11.5, Tavares 11, Marner 10.9, Morgan Riley 7.5. So they don't really have a lot of cap flexibility right now to go out and get that big banging defenseman. And the Kings are, if we lose Roy and Arvidsson and Lazat, we might have some money to play with getting at least a goalie. I can't imagine they would bring back the tandem of Talbot and Big Save Dave. And I guess, there's Phoenix Copley. He's in the weeds waiting, I guess, coming off an ACL surgery. So, there's going to be some interesting decisions being made in the Kings front office in El Segundo. Thank you very much. And, some of these, the Ontario Reign are doing very well, actually. That was weird to me how, the Kings, clearly were struggling offensively against the Oilers. that they didn't call up Fagemo or Akil Thomas, or insert Kaliev into the lineup. You would think that those guys, the Kings were so desperate down 3-1 that they would have tried anything just to get a jump or a spark, but they did not. So they are now playing golf. They should be playing Game 7 tomorrow night in Edmonton, but they are not. So, and the Winnipeg Jets were kind of a shocking, 4-1 series loser to Colorado. I thought that this was their year, that they kind of had a chance to beat Colorado, with Hellebuck and Morrissey and Velarde and Iafallo and Nick Ehlers and Scheifele and Connor. Like, the Jets are a good team. But it didn't work out. So, only one team can win the Stanley Cup. And, so Boston fans are happy. It's a quick turnaround. They play Florida Monday. Florida's a little rested. So that's going to be a war in the third round in the conference finals. Florida Hurricanes, that's an intriguing matchup. Florida and the Rangers, I could see that as a possibility. Boston, I mean, really all the combos of the well, you can't call them up now. There's nowhere for them to go up now. I think tomorrow the Rain play. The games are on TV here in Los Angeles, so I get to see the Baby Kings and Fagemo and Akil Thomas. Hopefully they're on the Kings next year. Martin Chromiak is another prospect we have that I don't know if he's going to make the Kings, because there's, the Kings, it depends if we lose Arvidsson or not. It's going to be an interesting offseason, because Fagemo, I think he had like 40 plus goals this year in the AHL, but so far in the NHL, he hasn't translated that scoring. But it's tough, it's that's why Kaliev, his last 2 years in juniors, I think he had 50 goals each season or something close to that. And, first year in the NHL, I think he had 14 goals and limited playing time. And the last 2 years, he's lost all confidence. So, the NHL's the best of the best. Even the shittiest backup goalie is probably as good of a goalie as these young kids have seen in juniors or in the AHL or ECHL. So it's confidence, for someone like Kaliev is key. And you can tell the last few games that he played with the Kings, it might as well have been a grenade on his stick. He just had lost all confidence. So welcome to Saturday night in the Earlverse. Body slam that like button. Thank you very much. This is the Earlverse, is the stream that is about everything and nothing at the same time. We can talk hockey, comedy, politics, AEW, pro wrestling. I don't believe there was a collision tonight. I didn't see a Rampage on my DVR. We got a Game 7 tomorrow night as well, the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights, who always seem to gear it up. Was that a recent video of Vince Neil falling on his fat ass? I've seen Vince fall on his fat ass. I've met him a few times. He wasn't like the nicest guy, to be honest with you. He was kind of a dick. But, in his defense, he was so drunk both times I saw him. What can you do? But I was never like a huge Motley Crue fan, so I didn't mind that he was a weenie to me. But, these guys, you'd think after killing someone in a drunk driving accident that his drinking might be curtailed. But, these guys take it to another level. So, is Vince as vocally talentless as I don't know if he's never ever been vocally talented. He was just, he fit the part of an 80s metal rock and roll guy. So, to answer your question, I would guess would be yes, Dr. Nova. Um, so, Piercy sounds better than ever. A lot of people, give Piercy shit, but he's pretty sober, I think. And, I've seen his solo band a few times, and you could tell he's in a good place. Where, in the last decade, there's been some moments of where I believe he's not in a good place. So if you have a chance to go see Stephen Piercy, do it. Like, he still puts on a good show. He's got the drummer from Slaughter, the great Blas Elias, um, and his longtime guitar player, Eric Fiorentino. I never really liked Great White. I saw them a couple years ago at the Wiltern Theater, and it might have been the worst concert I've ever been attendance at sound wise. And the opening band was Enough's Enough, and they sounded great. So it was not the sound system of the Wiltern. Um, Arcade, their problem was they just came to the party a little too late. When the big sell, I was at their very first concert at the Troubadour, and it was, I think the marketing ploy of, hey, there's the singer from Rat and the drummer from Cinderella, and Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those bands were kind of at the top of the charts, was just too much to overcome. What up, William Zoom? I got your email. You're a good man. You're a good man. Um, but that first Arcade album would have been a great Rat or Cinderella album. And the second album has a couple good songs. I think, what was it? What was the ballad on that second Arcade song? Who's gonna hold you when I'm gone? I couldn't tell you now. That might have been the ballad on the first song, on the first album. But yeah, they just got to the party a little too late. It's like my friend Brent Fitz, the drummer extraordinaire who drums for Slash now. He was in that band Union and it kind of suffered the same fate that Arcade did, where it was like, hey, you've got the singer from Motley Crue, John Corabi, and Bruce Kulick from Kiss, but at that time in the late 90s, it was like nobody cares, man, like about those two bands in particular. But Union was a great band. Funny story about Arcade is I'm at the Key Club, which used to be Gazzari's for you old 80s rock and rollers, and I'm there to see Vince Neil because Brent was drumming that night. When Bruce Kulick is backstage, and backstage was pretty shitty at the Key Club. And, the Rainbow's just to the left of the Key Club. The Key Club is now One Oak. And so me and Bruce says to me, hey, let's get out of here and go to the Rainbow. And so I start walking out with Bruce, and I see Frankie Wilsex from Arcade, the rhythm guitar player. I said, Bruce, I'll meet you up there. I want to talk to this guy from Arcade. And so I start talking to Frankie. I'm like, hey, man, that song Cry No More was fucking awesome. And then we heard gunshots. So we all run outside, and Bruce had been shot. I guess there was a beef between Cypress Hill and his boys on the patio, who used to hang out on the patio at the Rainbow, smoke weed and eat and whatnot. And they got into a beef with some guy, and I don't know how the guy was shooting at those guys on the patio, and the bullets hit Bruce. And so we all go up there, and um, obviously no one had called the cops or the ambulance yet. And Bruce's, one bullet nicked his temple, I think, but then I think his artery in the leg got hit, and he's bleeding pretty bad. And I had about a $700-800 Versace shirt on, and everyone was like, Earl, take off your shirt. we got to use it as a tourniquet till the police and ambulance get here. And I just remember looking down at Bruce going, "Hey, man, how bad is it?" And people looked at me like, "Come on, Earl." So I take off my shirt. I give it to them. They use it as a tourniquet. Ambulance comes a few minutes later. We all go to the hospital to visit Bruce. And, um, we couldn't see him that night. So me and my girlfriend at the time, we go the next day, and she goes into Bruce's room, and I'll be, "Hey, Shelly, I'll be right back." And I go up to the front, and I'm like, "Hey, man, what do they do with gunshot victims' clothing?" Like, "Oh, we put that in the biomedical bin in the basement. You don't want to go there." I'm like, "Where is that? Just for next time." "Oh, it's in the basement." Blah blah blah. So I go down there and I start digging through the biomedical waste bin. I mean, who knows what's in that thing? And I found my shirt, bitch. Thank you very much. Bruce is probably looking for the Casio. I tried to make it right, but I don't think Bruce liked it when I said, "Bro, do you really think I'm going to steal a Casio? I've got 3 Breitlings upstairs." You know what I'm talking about? New wave. I mean, like Gary Newman. I enjoy Gary Newman. I enjoy. I don't know if the Cars were considered new wave. I mean, out here in Los Angeles, we have a station called K Rock, and they would, I guess you would say, specialized in new wave bands. So I liked. Well, I like that one band, Red Rockers. They had that song China. Um, no, I mean it's too awkward between me and Bruce now. And it's funny, I think he used to date a girl in my building now, and we talk, and she tried to make it right, and he was kind of like, "I want Earl to apologize." I'm like, I what? I didn't do anything. So, but I mean, he's a fantastic guitar player. I'll tell you that much. Oh yeah, what was his name? Kong Ziller, Ty Longley. Um, that's cool, Lance. That's cool. Well, here's the crazy thing, Kong, is um, a lot of people, the initial reports were that he went in there to save people, and this shows you how little these guys get paid. He really only went back into the club that was burning on fire to get his guitar. So that's the really sad thing. Um, I still can't get the images of that out of my head. That one shot of all the people trying to get out, and they're like packed like sardines. Yeah, absolutely, William. Um, what up, Drunken Donuts? Yeah, I mean, that was crazy. I just remember the one shot of the initial start of the fire, and you could tell people thought it was part of the show until the one guy in the front row's head was on fire. And then people were like, I don't think this is part of the show. Let me see. I do have a Dennis Rodman story. One night during roast battle, he was judging, and he was pretty fucked up. So I this is back before I started battling, and I was the house heckler. And I started shitting on him, thinking, "Hey, he's never going to come over here," because the judges sat in the like the balcony area of the belly room, and the heckler table was the complete opposite end of the room. But the belly room is a small room, so um, I think I said, "Hey, man, I've always wanted to meet Ron Artest," acting like Dennis Rodman was Ron Artest. So Dennis Rodman gets up, and he doesn't look that big because he plays in the NBA where they're all the same size pretty much. And he starts walking over to me, and he gets to the heckler's table, and I'm like, "Am I gonna have to fight Dennis Rodman right now?" And he just sat in my lap. I think he was on what the kids call the yayo. Uh, yes, I did look. One time I was looking for a condo in Beverly Hills, and for some weird reason, I think we entered through the roof. Like there was a door on the roof. Uh, you took an elevator, and so we look at the bedroom first, and there's all these Dennis Rodman half naked pictures, and in my mind I'm like, "Oh, this guy's just I thought it was a guy's condo. This guy's just a huge Dennis Rodman fan." We're going down the spiral staircase, and Some more, and then there's like a couple pictures of Carmen Electra, like kind of same style, like boudoir photos. And then we get to the kitchen, and I notice the TV's on, and I look up, and there's Carmen Electra in her not underwear, but like it's pretty revealing outfit, to be frank. And she just looks up and goes, "What's up?" So I've had some very cool stories like that. I mean, where else? Hold on, I'm getting a text here from a. Uh, hold on, I can't help myself. It's probably why I'm not on the festival. See, I'm not fake. I made some controversial fake Netflix is a joke flyers that only LA comics would know. If you go on my Instagram, you don't have to super chat me or any of that shit, but just like my latest Instagram post. See, there are ways that you can help a comic, a streamer, whatever I am considered to you people. Hit the like button, the subscribe, notifications. You go on my Instagram and like photos, you go on YouTube and thumbs up videos or whatever, all of which are free. Thank you very much. I don't panhandle to the 11 people in this stream and do a 5-hour stream. Thank you very much. And no, I'm not on the Netflix is a Joke Festival. I believe I'm the only living comic not on it. The best of SD Jones. Get the fuck out of here. Do the Flyers say the festival? I mean, there are some good shows on the festival, but like some of the smaller shows literally have like open mic level comics on it. You'd think I could have gotten on those. I mean, I don't want to say I'm not bitter because then that means I'm automatically bitter, but it is a little discouraging that literally I think I'm the only LA comic not on this festival. So, but welcome to Hollywood, baby. Welcome to the business. Yeah, SD Jones was kind of like the what was that one team? The LA T-Birds, the roller derby team would always beat in the last run. I had no idea roller derby was fake. Like it was basically pro wrestling on rollerblades. Like every fucking week, the LA T-Birds would come back and win by 1 point, uh, either by Ralphie, the Guatemalan Flyer Valadares, or Skinny Gwen Miller. I mean, I really was like, man, this is a coincidence. These guys always come back in the last minute. Was it the New York Bombers or the New York Outlaws? Uh, well, I mean, Colin Quinn's a great comic. I mean, that's a guy I would watch. I don't watch comedy, as you guys know, and not really. But I did like his Dark Side of the Ring. That was interesting. That's what I love about Dark Side of the Ring is that they do kind of spotlight guys or girls you've kind of forgot about. Like the Sandman this week, that was kind of sad. The guy was basically an abusive husband, and so it's like, I have a framed picture of the guy upstairs. Yeah, I mean, it was probably that same roller derby. It was filmed out of the L.A. No, the Olympic Auditorium, where you had the LA T-Birds. I think it was the New York Outlaws. There was only like 4 teams, and I forget. Let me look that up. And then, it's very pro wrestling. They had bad guys, they had good guys. Uh, yeah, Jim Cornette. I would love to get on Jim Cornette's podcast. I need to start getting on some bigger podcasts, man. Maybe I can get on the Hulu as a joke festival. LA. Let me see. LA T-Birds. Roller derby. Let's see. See if they have they don't even have a Wikipedia page. That's not good. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, like trying to find Jerry Hill, the Philadelphia Warriors. Yes, the Olympic Auditorium was sold out for matches on Saturday nights. Games were aired as roller superstars and skaters Psycho Ronnie Raines, Ralphie Valadares. Let's see, we had the Northern Devils, the Western Outlaws, the Golden State Bombers, Hollywood Hawks, and Eastern War Chiefs. But that's when they moved to Vegas. Let's see if they they don't really tell you the teams in the area. Okay, here we go. Here we go. 1973. The teams included the LA T-Birds, the Eastern Warriors, the Tokyo Bombers. They don't really say the names of the teams, but I remember there was only like four. Yeah, the New York Bombers. Thank you very much. And I remember the bad guy was a black guy with a beard. And there was like a manager, a coach, a big Mexican dude with glasses. He was like basically the heel manager, John something. It's the names are just. Let me put roller derby bad guy John Hall maybe. It was John Hall. Interesting. Let me see. Okay, who's who? I'm going on a Facebook page right now. No, John. Let's see, John Hall. Remember him with the neck brace. Never dreamed he would be a T-bird. Um, wow, this is a great page here. Sorry, I don't want to. Awesome Kong and who was it? Gail Kim had a great. It's probably one of the best female matches I've ever seen. Back in the day, as well as I think the Bunny had a real bloody match on AEW. I forget who she was facing, but that was an iconic early women's AEW match. And then Thunder Rosa and Dr. Britt Baker was interesting as well. So yes, please go on my Instagram and like my newest picture. Maybe that'll get me some clout. I do know that people from the Netflix Is a Joke Festival watch my stories. A little birdie told me. And they kind of asked me to take them down. Like, why would I take them down? They're not using me in the first place. So what do I have to gain by it? Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't. I'm trying to really think of the bad guys. The big fat Mexican dude. He was very much a Lou Albano type. And John Hall was the bad guy, but then he became a T-Bird, which was crazy. It was like seeing. It would be like seeing Austin Matthews play for the Canadians. Like it was like, oh my god, I hate this fucking guy. How is he on the T-Birds with Ralphie Valadares? So I used to, and the announcer was great. He was like the motocross announcer. If you ever watched motocross in the late 70s and early 80s, now I'm talking the era of Bob Hurricane Hanna, someone Chandler was, and no, I don't mean my ex. How come the name Chandler is so identified with me? But there was a motocross cyclist, Rich Chandler, David Chandler, or something like that. Um, that was like Bob Hurricane Hanna's rival. And that announcer was amazing. Like he totally got you into the sport of motocross. So it was a fun time to be a kid in the 80s to not realize that pro wrestling's fake. Roller derby's real as far as I knew. Now there's just Lance, $4.99. Son of a bitch. You son of a bitch, Lance. Excuse me. Lance, $4.99. Nothing. Just a super sticker, I guess. Thank you very much, Lance. By the way, I'm buying a DVD player just so I can watch the best of Kenny Omega. The best of Kenny Omega pay-per-view. Uh, Thank you to my friend Jordan the Lion for sending that to me. Jordan sends me gifts. Do you like the Danbury Trashers? I actually went to look at that shoulder muscle. I actually went to a Danbury Trashers game. My friend, here's a funny story. At least it's funny to me, to be honest with you. I was in San Diego doing stand-up comedy at a place called Moon Doggies. It was like a real wild college bar, tons of puss, and it's really an amazing venue. Like if you were looking to get laid, horrible comedy venue because no one was there for the comedy, but it was like literally at least 500 to 1,000 people. Like it was just this was the spot where all the kids from San Diego State and any other surrounding college would go to drink. And I think the gig was on a Thursday night, which is like the beginning of the weekend for college kids. And I'm up there and I'm bombing my ass off, man, to be quite frank. I'm just not doing well. So I started doing hockey jokes randomly. And there's this one table who's giving me like applause breaks after every single joke. And I'm like, why are they laughing at hockey jokes? They're the only table laughing at me. So I bring up the next guy and I walk by the table, like a drive by, and they stop me. And apparently the San Diego Gulls had just won, I think it's either the Turner or the Taylor Cup at that time. And they're like, you're our favorite one. And it was Sandro Sabroka, Sylvain Deschatelets, Bruce Watson, who I think played against them, and then this huge Arab guy named Quabal Elizi. His Americanized name was Charlie. And so I became friends with those guys, and I stayed in touch with all of them. And Charlie then got traded or signed with the Elmira Jackals. And I started following the Jackals, and I see they're playing Danbury, who at the time they had Ruben Nadur, the Nigerian assassin. They had actually signed Frankie the Animal Bialois to play in this game against Charlie Elizi. So I flew to Danbury, Connecticut, and what a wild experience that was. I mean, what was the section 108 or 121 that was like throwing shit at the players, the visiting team's bench, and all it was like at a practice rink. So there's only one side of the rink had seats. So on the other side, you had to stand. This is like standing room only. And so I stood, me and my buddy, the A Man. Uh, we don't have to use real people's names in this thing, do we? Um, we stood right by the penalty box, and in the penalty box there was like these little, like maybe 6 to 12 inches of space, so you could talk to the guys in the penalty box. And I remember Ruben Nador got into a fight, and like he's talking to us, and then Frankie Bialois beat the shit out of some guy, and then Elizi was my buddy Charlie Elizi. He was causing mayhem. So and there's a documentary I think on Netflix. It's a series. It's not just on Danbury, but that was one of the episodes. Um, and I think my buddy Daniel Amesbury does a podcast with the owner of the Danbury Trashers. Oh yeah, I don't know. I guess I would play DVDs, to be honest with you, William Zoom. I didn't think that. And I have the newest PlayStation. Um, so doesn't your PlayStation play DVDs? Oh, sorry, I just read that. Earl, what's the craziest voiceover part you auditioned for but didn't get? Um, Audition for the Arby's commercial. Arby's, we've got the meats. Um, I mean, I've auditioned for so many big cartoons, to be the villain. Um, you know, I mean, really, the jellies is the craziest thing I've ever gotten just because I was the only white guy on the show. And, it was just, um, surreal. I mean, I didn't even audition for it. I mean, Tyler, the creator, saw me at the Comedy Store during a roast battle. And I didn't know who he was, so I was just shitting on him the whole time because I thought he was friends with my buddy Jamar Neighbors. He's a super funny comic, very Charlie Barnett-like. And, he came up to me after the show and was like, "I want you to be my dad." And I'm like, "It's a little late for that, bro," not knowing who he was. And, I see he was with Gerard Carmichael, so I'm like, I better play it cool. Gerard's a pretty nice guy. I'm sure this guy's nice." And then he's like, "No, I want you to be the dad of my cartoon." I'm like, "Oh, who are you?" He's like, "I'm Tyler, the creator." I'm like, "Great, I'm Earl the comic." And, that's how I got the gig. I didn't even have to audition for it, which never happens. I mean, I rarely pat myself on the back, even when I kill, I'm like, "Yeah, I did good." But for my first voiceover gig, to be the lead on an Adult Swim cartoon, it's unheard of. I mean, it's literally the odds of winning the lottery. So I was very lucky in that regard. So that's probably the craziest voiceover story I have, just getting on an all black cartoon. Now, the funniest thing is, season one was done on Tyler's phone app. So we would just show up to the recording booth, we'd do our lines. They would play the lines we were going off of, so the actors weren't in a booth together. But when we got on Adult Swim and the Cartoon Network, and later HBO Max, um, we were in the booth with whoever we were in the scene with. So the first episode of season two is a uh, big scene with me and my family, my wife, AJ Johnson, my child, Phil Lamar, legend in the voiceover and acting world. And Kylo Kish was my daughter, very famous rapper. And I think they thought I was the engineer. So they're like, "Who are you?" "We're just waiting for Barry Jelly." I'm like, "I'm Barry Jelly." And they were like, "You're white." I'm like, "You're black." And then we all got a laugh. I don't know who Jenny Jingles is. I don't know. So I don't know if you're insulting me or let me look on my little iPad. Jenny Jingles. Let's roast. Maybe she's a really hot dude. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if I think I look like. I don't know who Jenny Jingles is, to be honest with you. Earl is a gangbang legend. Oh, but what do you mean WATP? Oh, is that Carl's wife? Oh, I guess it is. I mean, yeah, I get. I mean, not really. I don't see the resemblance, to be honest with you. I mean, we both wear glasses. We don't do Dabbleverse talking here, guys, but you guys can bring it up, I guess. You know, I will be meeting Carl, I guess, in 3 weeks. I've never talked to him. I've never met Ray DeVito. I've never met Pat Dixon. Of course, we've done each other's shows, but I don't um, go on anyone's Dabbleverse shows anymore just because I get roped in with the fucking stream sniping and all that bullshit. And it ain't my jam, to be honest with you. But I don't, I don't judge people I don't know. So, as long as, I don't have problems with anyone unless they've fucked around with me. So, I mean, I see celebs every day. You know, the liquor store, there's a B-level celeb. The other night, I'm at the gas station at 3 in the morning on Sunset and San Vicente. 3 in the morning on a Wednesday night. And Frankie from the Mayans was just chilling outside. Um, well, it depends how big her tits were, Drunken Donuts. Pew! So, that's LA in a nutshell. And we had like an hour. We just spoke for like an hour. He's like the nicest guy. I'm like, you're my favorite part on the Mayans, and he was with a friend of his, and I don't know what take a nap is. Earl Sandy Duncan was not my type. I mean, I'm gonna be a straight shooter. It's gonna be, basically like Kill Tony, I guess. So when Earl Skakel's money is going on at Hackamania, you guys know the discount code. Uh, so the discount code for Hackamania is Earl. Pardon me. This is I believe Ghost is non-carbonated. They do not sponsor the Earlverse stream, but I'll give them a plug. I'm not married to a man. I keep my sex life private. You guys, there's too much doxing and, um, shenanigans with some of you in the stream. But thank you very much. Let's just say I do quite well. Don't worry about it. So, but that's not really saying much. Yes, this is a Dabbleverse do not fly zone, but I will talk about it if you guys bring it up. But there's no stream sniping going on here. There's no stuttering John talk or me having random women on the show who are Dabbleverse eccentric. I don't necessarily find it funny, but yeah, I do. Immortal Corruptor. Thank you very much. I've sold a few tickets just from friends of mine who are coming. So, um, I'm not doing Hackamania to make a fortune. It's like I don't stream to make a fortune. I do think it will be a nearly or sold out show. I'm a comic. I go where the shows are. And Vegas is great because, after the open mic contest, uh, I can go to Wise Guys and do a set. I can pop in at, um, any number of other clubs. I think there's two Wise Guys in New York, in Vegas. Um, I mean, I'm not past at the Cellar in New York, but maybe I could pop in at Brad Garrett's club. I mean, we were on I'm Dying up here. So, Vegas is, I don't think it's a great comedy city, but there's a lot of rooms there. So while they're off doing the podcast talking about, Ray DeVito, I'll just leave the show. And I would come to San Diego. I've headlined the American Comedy Club, sold it out during the pandemic, and they won't return an email. I'm not going to chase down a room I sold out during the pandemic. Fuck that. So, but if you are in San Diego and you tweet or Instagram American Comedy Company, that's something else you guys can do that's free. There are so many ways to help a streamer who does stand-up comedy like myself. Clubs only book people not based on if they're funny or not, but based on if they think they can fill fucking seats. So yeah, 100%. Kip Smith is right there. I mean, I don't, um, obviously I've been on Ray's show many times. I haven't been on his show in like 7 months. I believe I was a favorite guest on MLC, but I just don't have anything to say about John or the Shuley Network or whatever. I think I was on Miserable Men on Sunday nights on the Shuley Network for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and I think I texted Shuley going, "Hey, bro, I love the show, but I just don't. I don't have anything to add on the Stuttering John stuff, so I'm going to bow out." And he was cool with it. I don't hate on the Dabbleverse. I mean, listen, there's a reason why, Shuley has 1,200 people a stream. Kevin has 1,200 people to stream. Melton has 6, 7, 800 a stream. Chad three or 400 a stream. Carl has over 1,000 a stream, and I have 17 people, but I'm okay with that. Um, I mean, I'm a fan of the first 3 Star Wars, 77 to 83. I kinda checked out. I mean, I tried to watch the Han Solo movie the other night, because 'cause I'm a Chewbacca guy, but holy fuck. No, the gas station is this it's called Sunset Oil. I believe you can go on Instagram, Sunset Oil, I think, and, they sell a lot of energy drinks. I've never seen Ric Flair energy drinks in a store, so, um, that was a nice goal by Pasternak. I don't know what, O'Reilly was thinking on that. Who would you want to roast from pro wrestling? Hulk Hogan, absolutely. But I'm blocked by Hulk Hogan, so, but, just get a sense of humor, bro. I think The Rock would be fun because I think The Rock gets it. Like, he would be fun to roast. Who else? I mean, I don't think Sting would be fun to roast because, he's like a reborn Christian and shit, so he's not gonna be into that. Um, what else would be, Dusty Rhodes, I think, would be funny. Jim Cornette would be funny. He gets it. Um, well, I mean, I did a show with that was my one Stuttering John story, Daniel, was my friend Gabriel, was doing a benefit show for Robert Schimmel. Now I'll guess Stuttering John knew Schimmel through Stern, and it was me, Hinchcliffe, Tripoli, Stuttering John, Carmen Morales, Adam Hunter. I might be forgetting 1 or 2, but it was basically all Comedy Store paid regulars and John. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, he didn't bomb, but he was probably the weakest comic on the show. But, like I said, all of us were paid regulars or Carmen is a top comic working right now. So it was a strong lineup. So, and I have a joke about Michael Jackson where, I can't say the joke on a stream, but it involves, uh, a joke. I say, we all remember Michael Jackson, right? It's one thing to be a pedophile, but a mag too. Uh, it's a word that rhymes with mag. And John came up to me in the hallway and he's like, "Hey, that joke's really funny, but it'd be funnier if you said maggot." And I'm like, yeah." Um, well, I think Hogan was cool, I think, with me until that show on TNT, Rich and Shameless, uh, just kept airing my Hulk Hogan sex tape joke from the Ric Flair roast. Uh, and a lot of people were like, "Why did you do a Hulk Hogan joke when Ric Flair was the one being roasted and Hulk Hogan wasn't even there?" But that happens a lot on roast. Like, I'm sure tomorrow night on the Tom Brady roast, which probably will be horrible, that there'll be a Bill Belichick joke. He's not going to be in the room, to my knowledge. Uh, Michael Jackson's crypt. It's probably at a grade school, so yeah, probably not. Well, apparently, my buddy who Steven, well, I won't say his last name, but he was in charge of the Ric Flair roast. He's like, "Bro, here's how they fucked you. I guess in TV, if you show a clip that's under 10 seconds or something like that, under 12 seconds, you don't have to pay the person. It's like a highlight reel. If it was 15 seconds, they would have to pay you for each time they used it." And, I got so many people messaging me for like 2 straight months because it was replayed a lot, that episode. Because Hulk Hogan is a popular figure. Um, so, you'd think all I wanted was for them just to put at Earl Skakel when they showed my clip. I probably would have gotten a few thousand followers from that. I mean, it was on TNT constantly. And I'm sure people thought either, "Hey, that guy's pretty funny. That's a good joke," or "This guy sucks. Let's follow him." So, do you think they'll make Ian Hernandez jokes? They should. Um, I am in SAG. I am in SAG. I mean, I'm dying up here. I've been in SAG since 1988 when I booked my first 2 commercials. Well, you can't sue because they, it's legal what they did. But, the people who sit there and say, "Earl, you're pretty bitter with all the complaining you do." I don't think that's really complaining too much just to put my Instagram handle on screen while you're doing a joke that, I'm not gonna say I worked hard on it, but, like, and for the joke, you guys, I know William Zoom knows, but I said, "Hey, how about that Hulk Hogan sex tape? It's just like his in-ring wrestling. 2 moves and a shitty finish." And it got a big laugh, and then I waited the perfect amount of time, and like, "And when he comes, calls the girl brother. Hello." Any piece of wrestling memorabilia, what would you want? Well, Jordan just bought one of Will Ospreay's robes. I would say one of Rick Rude's robes. Now, for the first season of Roast Battle, I almost bought they were $2,500 on eBay. Ring worn Rick Rude tights, the ones with the lips on the crotch. And I was literally about to do it. So I sent a picture of the person casting Roast Battle. I said, "Hey, this is after I got the gig. Hey, can I wear these on stage?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Why not?" He's like, "Because of the lips on the front." It's like, "Oh, no, it's not the Rolling Stones lips. It's just a pair of generic lips." He's like, "No." Well, I mean, I keep it real. I mean, I honestly don't think I am bitter. I'm really happy. Um, Now, am I bitter that I'm not on the Netflix Is a Joke Festival? I'm disappointed. Like, when you see all these open mic level comics on multiple shows, I mean, I'm a performer. It's like, my mind is like, what the fuck is being funny? Why be funny anymore if that's who gets on festivals? But that's just being honest. I don't think I'm bitter. Well, apparently, if you believe the rumors, um, Rick Rude injected Viagra into his dick, which almost sounds crazy and brilliant at the same time. It's like, why take a pill and wait for it to get through all the blood vessels in your body to your dick when you just inject it into his dick? But apparently, it caused an infection, and they had to like castrate his balls or something. His balls blew up to like the size of a grapefruit, and then he committed suicide pretty soon after that. Showbiz is a ball breaker. It's literally the most unfair thing I've ever come across. But you know, 25 years in, I'm still learning how unfair it is. But it's just you know, and I mean, there's no way I shouldn't have been on the Tom Brady roast. But I think certain people made sure that I wasn't even considered for it. And that's fine. That's why the show will suck. And name me the last good roast you watched. I mean, I was there for the Baldwin roast because I wrote for Dr. Ken. It was fucking horrible. It was awful. I mean, when Caitlyn Jenner's the funniest person on the dais and she's not even a comic, and not Eric Griffin, Blake Griffin was the second funniest person, and Adam Carolla was the third because Adam Carolla just went rogue. Um, so and Dr. Ken was kind of neutered. He's like, "Dude, I love all these jokes you wrote me, but I can't do these jokes, man. I've got a Budweiser campaign or whatever commercial he was in at the time. So, what are you going to do?" Rick Rude was exceptional. Great wrestler, great on the mic, sold for people. Like he made his matches with the Ultimate Warrior good. No, his heart, I believe he committed suicide from what I heard. Let me look. Let me look. I can. That's Rick Rude. Because he broke his back against Sting, and so he was hooked on pain pills and all that. So Rick Rude death. Drug overdose. So unfortunately, those guys are on steroids. They're on somas, uppers, downers. No, well, I mean, it might have. I mean, only 40 years old, man. Autopsy report showed he died from an overdose of mixed medications. At the time of his death, Rick Rude was in training for a return to the ring. And the problem was he had like a Lloyd's of London insurance policy. So if he wrestled, it was voided. So I'm sure mentally he was just all fucked up. Can you imagine you're like your whole life is pro wrestling. You take out an insurance policy because injuries after he broke his back, against Sting in Japan. And here's how fucking tough he was. So Sting jumps through the ropes. There was a step down that neither one of them saw. So Rick Rude's back went against the edge of a plank, and he literally his back was broken. Sting picks him up, and Rick Rude probably had so much adrenaline that he didn't feel it. And I think Sting body slammed uh, Rude like twice with a broken back, and Rick Rude finished the fucking match. That's how tough Rick Rude was. I wonder how bad the drug use in wrestling is compared to back in the day. I mean, listen, those guys are still on it. If you look at some of the bodies in pro wrestling, you don't get that way fucking naturally. Now, I think the awareness is more like concussions and I mean, look at Brian Pillman when Sid power bombed him against the top of the cage, power bombed him again. He's knocked unconscious, and he's basically forced to finish the match when he's half unconscious. Um, but that's like football, hockey. I mean, I was watching a fight, and we'll just go for a few more minutes. What up, Ross? Hit the like button if you can. I was watching a hockey fight the other day. It's the New York Rangers and the Hartford Whalers. Stu Grimson, who clocks in about 6'5", 240, against Ryan Vandenbush, who's probably 6 feet, 190. So it's a huge size difference. And Grimson must have landed 5 straight rights. I mean, bombs. And Vandenbush finally goes down. And he goes, looking back now, he goes into the penalty box, and he literally looked like this. And he stayed in the game. I think he tried to fight Grimson later. If that happened today, he doesn't play the rest of that game. He gets called. He had a concussion, clearly, looking back. So thank you, Kip Smith. Yeah, Pillman was a Cincinnati Bengal for a short time. Yes, he was. And I met his son, Brian Pillman Jr., at the Ric Flair roast. Sat and talked to him at the bar for a minute. So very nice guy. Got to see the Briscoes, wrestled the Von Erichs. What was really cool is backstage, they had a little warm-up area, and I got to see the Briscoes and the Von Erichs go over their match. So that was fun. Well, no, they didn't remove his dick. I think they had to basically castrate him. Um, and there's a funny interview with the Honky Tonk Man where he's backstage warming up, like flexing his arms and no muscle definition at all. Yeah, man. Yeah, I think Rick Rude shot Viagra into his dick because he thought he could fuck a lot of broads, and then his balls blew up, and he killed himself. Like, way to really care about your coworker. So I believe. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, Neidhart would know, I guess, but I think that. I mean, who knows what those guys were doing? I mean, look at the size of some of those guys back in the day. Hercules Hernandez. You tell me that guy wasn't on fucking roids, or um, Ivan Putski, or Bill Kazmaier. I mean, I'm trying to think of, obviously the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, Sid was pretty big. I don't know if he did roids, but you know, he's a pretty big boy. I mean, he had kind of skinny legs for a guy that size, but Scott Steiner, you tell me that guy wasn't on the juice, or Sting, look at Sting, people kinda see Sting, all we really remember is the AEW Sting, where he's wearing T-shirts and shit because he probably had a, bit of a belly or whatever, but, look at Sting when he was with the Ultimate Warrior in their first tag team, the Blade Runners. Um, he was fucking 260 jacked, he didn't look that big because the Warrior was 290 and jacked. Um, so Uh, yeah, I mean, those guys, I think, were taking anything, because back in the 70s and 80s, steroids, the dangers really weren't known. It was kind of like cigarettes. I mean, you kind of probably knew deep down that this shit's not good for you, but, now you know exactly what steroids do, and some people still take them. I mean, when I was at Family Fitness back in the day, that was the first job I had was at Family Fitness Center on Pico in Roxbury in Beverly Hills. There was a guy named Will who was a trainer there, and he would always try and get me to go to Tijuana with him to pick up steroids. And this guy would take the same dosage that they would give an 800-pound bull on a farm to make bigger. And all of a sudden, Will just disappeared. I mean, he might be alive, he might be dead. I don't know. Yeah, Lyle Alzado. I mean, you think Alzado sat there and, I mean, God, they were probably just stacking shit on top of each other. Um, fuck yeah, I did um, well, it's the acne. It's the acne, because most steroids are oil based. So that's why you can really tell. And you can watch wrestlers from both companies. If you have a high def TV, you can see acne on usually their shoulders and back. I don't think you really see it on their chest, but for some reason, you really notice it on the back. And, you know, you see it like on the shoulders right here. And because that's where they usually inject, either here or, um, I'm not sure where else you would inject steroids, but I mean, maybe the shoulder, I guess. Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at, I mean, back in the day, look at the bodybuilders, look at, um, you think they were taking Joe Weider's dynamic body shaper? I remember once I was in a Brentwood bookstore and I saw Bob Paris there, and I really thought I could look like Bob Paris. And I walked up to him. He was, I don't know, reading a book or something, or looking at a book. I'm like, hey, man, do you really take dynamic body shaper? And he just looks at me and goes, I don't take that shit. And then the next 8 fitness magazine covers, he's on Muscle and Fitness and Iron Man and promoting Joe Weider's dynamic body shaker. Get the fuck out of here. At least he was honest. Grimace and Pain, what up? Yeah, Jack LaLanne, I don't think was on roids. He was just, that guy lived the gimmick. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, I never really ate junk food exclusively, but I mean, the stories about Warrior and Sting are legendary. How Sting would say that he would go to the Waffle House, which is really the only late night diners open for wrestlers on the road. If you're going from say Alabama to Tennessee, there's really not a lot of eating options if you want to go to a sit down diner. Other than Waffle House, and that's about it. That's open 20, maybe a truck stop, but and I think Sting would say Warrior would have like 15 eggs, pancakes, hash browns, a loaf of bread. Like, but these guys worked out so much that they never got fat. But the cholesterol and that kind of shit was probably pretty epic. And then you consider what steroids do for your cholesterol and heart, and it's if you want to really get bummed out, look up any, Google wrestlers who died before the age of 50. I mean, it's crazy. Well, I would imagine you would take pot to relax and help go to sleep because it's like I'm a comic, and that's why my sleep schedule is so fucked up that if I have a good show, say in the main room on a Saturday night, I get home about 3. I'm high from the performance. I probably don't go to sleep till about 5. And it's fucking brutal. But Uh, so I can imagine if you have a match in front of 20,000 people against Hulk Hogan or the Warrior or Sting or Rick Rude or Roddy Piper or whatever, you probably get some pussy after, so you're high off of that. Probably multiple girls. You're drinking, you're snorting cocaine, but you got to get to the next town. You're probably up till 6 or 7 in the morning. You got to sleep for a little bit, then you got to, probably do a little booger sugar to go to the gym for 2 or 3 hours, and then you repeat 5 times a week. I mean, it's brutal. So yeah, I mean, I looked into taking a TRT. I thought, oh, I'll take it for a little bit, and just to give my body a kickstart. I mean, I am 55, and I went into a place right down the street from me, and he's giving me the pros and the cons, and there really weren't a lot of cons, to be honest with you. But he did mention, there might be some hair loss, and I have a pretty full set of hair for a 55-year-old. Maybe a little thinning up top, but not too much. Um, and he's like, your testicles will shrink. I'm like, I'm good. Uh, yeah, I mean, you get it, William. I mean, like last night, I was up till probably 5 a.m. I got up at around midnight, no, noon, noon to 1. And, of course, it takes me an hour or two to, get up and do what I got to do. So I'm literally essentially starting my day at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, but it works for me. Like, look at this stream. Here it is, what, 10:10 on a Saturday night. I'm going to go to the gym after. Uh, and no comedy tonight, but still, I mean, it'll be an early night for me, and I still probably won't go to bed till 3 or 4 in the morning. Yeah, me too, William. I don't drink coffee. I drink energy drinks, all different kinds of energy drinks. I can't say I don't like coffee. I've never tried it, so I'm a caffeine junkie. I mean, I guess that's the worst thing I put in my body, and I'm okay with that. I'm sure it's not that great for me, but I mean, I'm going to basically a gay gym right now, John Reed Fitness. Um, oh, dude, when I get up in the morning, it's like that scene. Nick Nolte gets out of bed in North Dallas 40, and my body is in incredible internal shape. Never had a drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't do anything other than caffeine. So every time I get a health exam, the doctor's like, dude, you've got the insides of a 20-year-old. I'm just, hey, as long as they're above 18. Hello. Um, I mean, I thought of doing, I love chocolate. So I know a lot of my friends like chocolate espressos. I've thought of that, but okay. Well, Lance, I'm just a human, so I like Blizzard of Oz, painkillers, painkiller. Sorry, all the pro wrestling talk got me. Blizzard of Oz, painkiller, Kill 'Em All, Peace Cells, and South of Heaven. I mean, Kill 'Em All was probably the biggest album, but I have the inside of an 800-year-old. I mean, you got to take care of your body, man. You don't have to be a gym freak like I am, but I love the Ultimate Sin. Jake E. Lee, Phil Susan on bass, Randy Castillo uh, on drums. It was a fine Aussie lineup. I must say, my favorite Aussie lineup is probably. I liked it when it was Jake E. Lee, Bob Daisley, Carmen Appice, and Don Airy on keyboards. But I think Carmen was like, "Hey, man, I want to put my name on the drum kit, and I want to sell my own merch." And Sharon Osbourne was like, "Let's get Tommy Aldridge. Beat it. She's a real bitch." Now, here's a funny thing. At the end of my street is a gay nightclub. Well, it was called Flaming Saddles, and before that, I think it was called 11. Um, Before that, it was in the 80s, Larrabee Sound Studios, and I believe part or all of Ultimate Sin was recorded there. So and they still kept the sign in the parking lot that says very faded at this point. Yeah, I think Sharon had iron eggs thrown at Iron Maiden. Daisley was a great bass player. I'd been in a room with Zach Wild, but I wouldn't say we met. Uh, does all that demon semen ever haunt you? No, not me, man. But is it the worst thing you put in other people's bodies? Trust me, I get a lot of repeat business. Trust me on that one, Dr. Nova. Of course, some don't come back. Not many, though. Hello. Hi, I was just listening to Thank God for the Bomb. I'm not sure what that is. Kip Smith. Did you run into any old comic friends in town for the festival? I don't go to the festival. If I'm not on a show, I don't go. I'm not going to hang out at the comedy store looking like a fucking dog trying to get a bone. So I ran into some old friends when I did Austin. I saw Hinchcliffe and Red Band and Dan Madonia and Carlos Herrera and a couple Austin comics I'd met in LA. What's that one big hit Queens of the Stone Age have? I like that song. Oh, I'm sure they are, but I don't go to comedy clubs unless I'm on the show. Uh, so it's just I look like a loser. Um, but some people love going and hanging out and um, trying to network and whatnot. It's like I've been doing comedy 25 years. I'm not networking anymore. Either you know who I am and you want to book me, or you don't. Or you do know who I am and you don't want to book me. And that's fine too, brother. I'd rather do a stream and talk to the fans. Um, I agree with that, William Zoom. I agree with that. Hello, goodbye. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, Kip Smith. Red Band probably is in town. I believe Kill Tony is at the Forum next Friday, which is crazy to me. But the Butabi brothers. Um, but unless I'm on a show at the Comedy Store, I'm not gonna go there and hope someone sees me waiting to go on. Book me, or I'm home doing a stream. I get more out of doing this stream than I do hanging out at the Laugh Factory. Thank you very much. And I say that with no hateness. I mean, the madness in LA is it's not bad. I mean, in terms of the college protests, the Israel Palestine stuff. It was a lot worse at UCLA because UCLA is a public school. So with USC, they shut that shit down real fast because it's a private. They have their own private police. So that shit did not fly at USC. But UCLA, you can't really do anything. No one's trespassing. It's a public college. Uh, so the Fabulous Forum is in the heart of Inglewood, and I always like to plug this guy's YouTube channel. It's called Hood War Stories. He does these gang videos on the different neighborhoods and the sets that are living in them. And the Forum and SoFi Stadium, it's surrounded by blood and crypt territories. So it's not really, unless I have to go there, I don't. I mean, SoFi Stadium, you have to pay $100 to park, which is, I'm good. Oh yeah, I watched that guy's, that German guy, right? I wish I knew the name of his channel. I would plug it. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, so many stores in Beverly Hills are for lease, and um, yeah, I think he did a video about the Beverly Center, which is like, uh, I would say probably 30% of the stores are vacant in the Beverly Center. The West Side Pavilion, which was a very popular mall back in the day. Google bought the building, so it's not even a mall anymore. Yeah, Grimace and Pain. I do like that guy's videos. Uh, Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna show up like, I'm sure tonight's Saturday night, Comedy Store, it's probably crowded, probably tons of beaver there. I'm not gonna go sit there and, hope, Jeff Ross says hello to me. Fuck that. Um, so have you ever thought about joining a gang? Yeah, the Beverly Hills Jews. Hello! The fuck out of here, man. A gang at 55. But it's probably the closest I ever came to getting killed was one night, my friend Norma, who worked at the Sports Connection with me, she invited me to a party, like a not a rave, but, like a big party at an art gallery in Venice. Now this is Venice in the it must have been the late '80s, early I think it was the very early '90s, might have been like 1990, and, Venice chocked full of gangs. You've got MS-13, you got the Venice 13, you got the Shoreline Crips, you got some blood sets in there. So I'm walking with Norma to this party, and Norma had a teardrop right here, so I'm sure she was gang affiliated, but we never talked about it. And then, trust me, when me and Norma were together, we didn't talk business. We conducted business. So I have a red hoodie on. It was cold that night. We're walking, and all of a sudden, a car of I'd guess 3 to 4 people in the color blue pull up and go, "Hey, blood, nice jacket." And I wasn't putting two and two together, so I start walking toward them. Go, "Oh, hey, thanks, guys." It's like that scene in the Animal House when the fat guy was like, "You guys playing cards?" And Norma, we ran down an alley. She's like, "They're gonna fucking kill you, you dumb fuck." And I wasn't gonna throw the jacket away because it was about $500. Massimo hoodie. Thank you very much. Los Psychos. I mean, that sounds like a gang name. Have you ever stayed at the Cecil Hotel? I have not. But one day I will do a stream from the room that was Stallone's apartment in Cobra. It is, I believe, the top floor unit on some hotel in Venice. But, that's when the super chat money's got to be really rolling in to fund that night because I'm sure it's like $300 a night. I'm not gonna spend $300 to do a stream to make $7. And I was also thinking about doing a live walkthrough from Nicole Brown Simpson's house to OJ's house. I was going to walk the route. That could be about an hour and a half stream, but I got to make the money, honey, if I'm doing stuff like that. So, I'm trying to, of course, with that stream, I'd probably have to walk around with my iPad, which I would look like a real fucking loser. What I would do is I'd start in the alley behind Nicole's condo, which is allegedly where OJ was parked in the Bronco, did the killings, got in the Bronco, and sped up Bundy back to Rockingham. So that could be a fun stream. Maybe we could break some all-time numbers doing that shit. Who knows? Well, no, it's still there. I mean, they might have remodeled it, but I know that from the street it looks different because they've grown out the hedges. Um, the juice is no longer with us. Yeah, but Ghost, I think, are light in color, so it makes sense that darker colors would be easier to spot the white ghost. I mean, I don't think there's so many black ghosts. Well, maybe OJ. Hello. So, all right, kids, I'm going to go to the gym now. We've done an hour and 23 minutes. I'd like to thank you guys for the Earlverse stream. I'd like to thank my tipper, my super chatter. Thank you, Lance. I appreciate it very much. And thank you guys for listening. Like I said, you can hit the like button, you can subscribe, comment, on the videos, watch the videos. There's all kinds of ways to help a streamer. I can go to my Instagram at Earl Skakel and like the pictures and whatnot on there. And Hackamania promo code is Earl. 20% off your ducat. Friday night, there's a comedy show. There's a VIP meet and greet, a comedy show, and Win Earl Skakel's Money open mic, where you can win up to $1,000 if you're funny. So sign up for that. You can go to hackamania.com. And yeah, if you just want to send me money randomly, Kip Smith is taking care of that right now. I do have a Patreon, of course. I think I have 13 subscribers. Fuck yeah. I think Tim Dillon has like 7,000. Boing! So let's get me to Tim Dillon status, and then I'll get booked on every fucking festival in the world. That's how it works, babies. I mean, who heard of Tim Dillon 3 years ago? Goes on Rogan, bingo, he's a superstar now. So this has been Earl Skakel. Thank you guys for the laughs. Uh, I'll be watching Game 7 tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern Time on TBS between the Golden Knights of Vegas and the Stars of Dallas. Maybe I'll do a live watch of that or something. You know, have a good time tomorrow night. Tell all your friends that the Earlverse is in the house. Good night, goodbye, and good luck, as Kenny Omega would say. I now must bid you all adieu.